Why do horror movie revivals keep retconning classic lore? Imagine watching a horror film and feeling like something just doesn't sit right. Maybe a character's backstory has changed, or a villain's origin is completely different. That's because many horror revivals often rewrite or retcon the original stories. When studios remake or reboot classic horror movies, they want to make the stories fresh for new audiences. Sometimes the original lore is outdated or confusing, so filmmakers change it to fit modern tastes. They add new twists or expand on characters to keep things interesting. This is especially true in the 2010s, when horror remakes became super popular. Back then, many young viewers hadn't seen the original movies from the 70s or 80s. Studios saw this as a chance to introduce these iconic stories to a new generation. To do that, they often changed the backstories or motivations of characters so they would be easier to understand. For example, they might give a killer a new origin story or add extra layers to the villain's personality. Advances in technology also played a big role. Better special effects and cinematography allowed directors to create more visually intense horror scenes. To make these scenes work, they sometimes had to tweak the original mythologies. For instance, a ghost story might get a new explanation for its haunting, or a killer might be given a more detailed backstory to make their actions more believable. The style of horror in the 2010s was also different. It was more graphic, stylized, and influenced by the fears of post-September 11th America. This meant that older stories were often retconned to include darker themes or more complex characters. These changes reflected the cultural mood of the time and made the stories more relevant. From a nostalgia point of view, these retcons helped keep horror movies exciting. They introduced classic characters to new audiences and created a unique mix of old and new storytelling. Even if some fans didn't love the changes, they kept the genre alive and evolving. In practical terms, retconning classic lore helps filmmakers do several things. It keeps stories fresh and interesting for viewers. It fixes plot holes or outdated elements from the original films. It also allows them to include current social issues or fears. Plus, modern technology makes it easier to create scarier and more immersive horror scenes. Overall, the reason horror revivals keep retconning is to balance respect for the past with the need to stay relevant. They want to honor the original stories but also make them appealing to today's audiences. This approach keeps horror movies exciting and helps the genre grow.